What does it mean to be genderqueer and why do we need to talk about it? Today, we're going to start our conversation by allowing ourselves to get uncomfortable. Probably not what you had on your Monday afternoon bingo card, I know, but here we are. Our topic for this brief video, as I mentioned, is going to be exploring what it means to be genderqueer and why that's important, why we should talk about it. My name is Dr. Gianmichael Salvato, and I'm a semi-retired member of the Catholic clergy who's served as a holistic and pastoral counselor for the last 39 years, mainly working with members of the LGBTQ community. And yes, I am genderqueer. Now, right off the bat, I realize that so much of what I just said in the past 2 or 3 sentences already made some of you a little bit uncomfortable, and most of you curious at the very least. And that's okay. In fact, it might even be good. You see, some of those watching this are wondering if I was born with a vagina or a penis. Others might be saying, oh, I remember Gianmichael from high school or college. There's no way they're trans. And that's part of what I wanted to talk about this afternoon. A couple years ago, my husband and I were invited to a dinner by my sister-in-law, a transgender woman, with a gathering of trans folk, mostly trans women, at a restaurant here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where we live. Now, during the dinner, one of the women that was sitting across from me at the table was trying to inconspicuously catch a glimpse of my crotch to figure out if I was a trans guy and had bottom surgery, which is not only a common experience for me, but one in which I kind of enjoy fucking with people if they're afraid to come right out and ask. So I messed with her the entire dinner. And by the way, let's get those questions out of the way. I was born with a penis, I still have it, and I'm really fond of it. You see, when I was 26 years old, shortly after my partner of 6 years passed away from AIDS, I considered transitioning. I began hormones for a few months. I performed about 8 or 9 years at that time as a drag entertainer, and I knew that I didn't really identify as male. But I also did gay porn for almost 6 years, and even though I was a power bottom, I admit, as I mentioned, I was really fond of what I had between my legs. In fact, I was sure that I wasn't really interested in replacing that with a vajayjay. And I wasn't even convinced that I wanted breasts. So while I didn't identify as male, I enjoyed gay sex, and I was pretty damn good at it, allegedly. So I didn't identify as female either. But in those days, living in Orlando, I was accepted and I was welcomed by the trans community there. Some thought that I just wasn't ready to accept that I was trans. Others who knew me better said, well, maybe I was simply queer. And it was the 90s, so we were mostly too busy having fun to really give it a whole lot of thought. I knew I would have issues with my superiors in the Franciscan order if they found out I was doing drag or porn or both. So by adding the possibility of them finding out I was trans to the mix, it didn't really make that big of a difference. But fast forward to 2019, and in a somewhat less progressive capital city here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, it was made clear to me that I probably didn't fit in with the trans community. Girl, they would tell me, you just need to make up your mind. Bitch, I was 56 years old in 2019. I didn't need to make up my mind. I was clear that I was neither male nor female for the past 25 years by that point. So there weren't non-binary people in their community, but weren't we supposed to be part of the trans community? Aparentemente, no. I was welcomed and accepted in the drag community, where my drag characters were based on some of the aunts and cousins that I grew up with in Philadelphia and South Jersey, but I was left on the margins in the trans community. And for several years, I grew kind of bitter about that. I was hurt, and I was critical of the way in which I was told, girl, you gotta choose. Until I woke up one morning and I realized the people who were saying that weren't necessarily wrong. You see, Their entire worldview wasn't as far removed from the attitudes of the cis community as it was from the genderqueer community. They were operating from a binary, just like cis people. So from their perspective, I wasn't a trans woman or a trans man, so I really wasn't part of their jam. It wasn't just that I didn't feel like I was male or female. It wasn't even that I was gender fluid. It was that I rejected the whole binary gender construct. I felt that I didn't need to choose between the things that I wasn't convinced were any more real than a forced social construct. And I wanted nothing to do with it. I was, and I still am, genderqueer. And as I brought more empathy and more curiosity to the situation, I began to understand their point of view. And I also began to understand that nobody was trying to hurt me. People are often so stressed that if they say the wrong thing or somehow ask an offensive question or inappropriate question, that they're going to be in trouble or canceled. And so they would rather just say, hey, maybe you don't belong here. Being genderqueer is awkward. I mean, I was affectionately called daddy by my husband and our boyfriends. Didn't that mean that they had to suddenly stop calling me that? The answer, by the way, is no. Which bathroom was I supposed to use? The answer is, why the hell do we still have gender-specific bathrooms in the 21st century? And of course, the question that my fellow stoner buds were asking is, so if you're not a guy or a girl, then when you have sex with a dude, is it really gay sex? And I think the answer to that depends on whether the dude I'm trying to get in bed with wants the sex to be gay or not. I'll go with whatever they choose, if they're hot enough. Seriously, though, that's why I made the decision not long ago to shift the focus of my professional work to helping other genderqueer people reclaim their voices and understand our identities in the world. The Queer Life Collective is, by the way, a truly open, affirming, and inclusive community. We're queer, and that includes anyone who doesn't fit in, who's questioning whether they fit in. We'll never tell a trans person they don't belong here. We'll never tell a cis person they don't belong here. And that's because we didn't create this community to be gatekeepers. We created it to be sojourners and healers, advocates and wayseers. And I'm really proud that our community provides all of this support, this coaching, this mentoring and advocacy services within the framework of a truly empowering, inclusive, and transformational operating system known as positive intelligence, which helps folks uncover the self-sabotaging voices that have been derailing their happiness, their success, and their joy, and reclaims the pathways, rebuilds the pathways to their inner wisdom, to their sage perspective. So if you're looking for a place to fit in, why not give us a shot? And if you know somebody who is desperately trying to find a place to fit in, somebody who feels like they don't belong, that's looking for a place to fit in, to heal, to thrive, well, thanks in advance for sharing our website and our services with them. I just wanted to go ahead and put this video out there so that we could start the conversation. This isn't a place where we are going to produce videos that just talk at you or talk to you, but hopefully will become a place where we can start a genuine conversation, and from that conversation begin to grow.